Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to give folks just about 2 more minutes to join before we start. We only have about 5 attendees right now, okay? And then I'll get started with the opening. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So we'd like to welcome everyone this afternoon to our information session about the 2021 Intersectional Qualitative Research Methods Institute for Advanced Doctoral Students. This year we'll be delivering it remotely, given the global COVID-19 pandemic that we're all experiencing. We will refer to the Institute throughout this webinar for the IQRMI-ADS program. The Institute is sponsored by the University of Texas at Austin, Latino Research Institute, and the University of Maryland at College Park, Consortium Race, Gender, and Ethnicity. My name is Dr. Daisy Morales Campos. I'm the Area Director for Training Programs and also a Research Assistant Professor at the Latino Research Institute. I have the honor of being your moderator today. So first off, I'm going to provide just some information on how to use some of the settings in the Zoom webinar function for today's session. And then I'll proceed by going over the agenda for the session today. Next, please. So in the Zoom webinar setting function at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the 3 icons, the chat function, raise your hand, and Q&A. If you have any questions throughout the information session, please go ahead and type your questions into the Q&A function. It looks like 2 little call-out boxes. We will have someone who will be taking record of your questions so we can answer them at the end during our Q&A session with the core faculty. Next, please. So just quickly for our agenda today, first we'll give a little bit of information about our presenters who are our core faculty for the Institute. We will go over some information and specifics about what the Institute entails, what the experience is, who should apply, and specifics about the application process. Once again, if you have any questions that come up during any of these topics, please enter it into the Q&A function. And once we're at the end, we will take all your questions and answer them. Now let's move on to introducing our presenters for today's information session. Next, please. So our presenters today are Dr. Deborah Parra Medina, Dr. Rachel Gonzalez Martin, and Dr. Ruben Parra Cardona. Dr. Parra Medina is the inaugural director of the Latino Research Institute. She holds an appointment as a professor in the Department of Mexican American, Latina Studies at the University of Texas at Austin. She is a health disparities researcher, has an extensive portfolio in developing culturally competent public health, chronic disease, and healthy lifestyle interventions with underserved communities, which include women, Latinos, financially disadvantaged populations, and immigrant populations. She primarily uses mixed methods, community-based participatory approach, often designing and implementing interventions that incorporate the promotora model and also involve multimedia, text messaging, and other technological communications. Our next presenter is Dr. Gonzalez Martin. She holds a PhD in folklore and ethnomusicology from Indiana University. Her research focuses on the verbal and material traditions of communities coming of age in the American Latino diaspora. Her work looks at present experience narratives, today art, materiality, and self-portraiture regarding gender, sexual identities, race, and socioeconomic status. Her teaching interests include courses on Latino, expressive culture across the US, engaged ethnographic fieldwork, and critical Latino folklorists. And last but not least, Dr. Ruben Cardona. He's an associate professor at the Steve Hicks School of Social Work here at UT Austin. He serves as the coordinator for the school's initiatives in Latin America. At the Latino Research Institute, Dr. Para Cardona serves as the area director of research. He has funding from NIMH to investigate treatment efficacy and relevance of 2 versions of an evidence-based parenting intervention culturally adapted for Latino families with young children. He is currently funded by NIDA to extend this line of research to Latino families with adolescent children. He's also the recipient of the 2013 American Family Therapy Academy Early Career Award for his innovative work on cultural approach research. He has a wealth of experience on research collaborations across the US-Mexico border. And now I will pass the mic on to Dr. Para Medina, who will introduce the Institute.
Thank you, Dr. Morales Campos, and thanks everyone for tuning in to our information session today and for your interest in our Intersectional Qualitative Research Methods Institute, designed especially for advanced doctoral students. The Institute is designed to provide advanced doctoral students a unique training opportunity. There are few institutes in the United States that offer training on qualitative research methods and none that incorporate discussions about the intersections of race, class, gender, ethnicity, and other dimensions of inequity. In addition to facilitating these important conversations about intersectionality, the Institute also provides practical lessons in professional development. Our goal is to help intersectional scholars be successful in their pursuit of academic and research careers. If you are tuning in and you are a postdoctoral researcher or an early career faculty member, our partner, the Consortium for Race, Gender, and Ethnicity at the University of Maryland College Park, does offer an institute that's specifically tailored for the needs of early career faculty. To learn more about that institute, I will refer you to our website at the Latino Research Institute's website, and you can learn more about the Institute for Early Career Faculty there. We have a link. Now, in our 4th year of the Institute, our goal is basically to help doctoral students to develop critical race and intersectional perspectives for designing and interpreting research. Intersectionality is a theoretical framework and research strategy that begins with the experiences of marginalized groups and examines the interconnections of power that affect individual and group identities and choices. And this approach is grounded in social justice and focused on change by linking research and practice. To enhance, we also focus on enhancing qualitative research data analysis, holistic interpretation, and analytic writing. And as I mentioned earlier, we also do some work in professional development and provide guidance to support doctoral students in completing their degree and transitioning successfully into postdoctoral or academic positions. Now, when will the Institute take place? This is a summer institute, and we have planned it for June 14th through Friday, June 18th, 2021. So it's a full week. We have decided to deliver it remotely via Zoom, again, given current social distancing guidelines. We offered it remotely last year, and we found it to be well received and successful. So we're looking forward to being able to offer it to you again remotely. As Dr. Morales Campos mentioned earlier, the Institute is hosted by the Latino Research Institute at UT Austin. And UT Austin is the flagship school of the University of Texas system, which includes 9 academic campuses and 6 health institutions statewide. We're ranked among the biggest and best research universities in the country, and UT Austin is the home to more than 51,000 students and over 3,000 teaching faculty. And together here at UT, we're working to change the world through groundbreaking research and cutting-edge teaching and learning technologies. Next, Dr. Gonzalez Martin will describe what you can expect from the training experience.
Hi folks, I'm Dr. Rachel Gonzalez Martin, and I'm going to be talking through just a little bit of what you can begin to expect should you attend our program virtually. So yes, our program is 5 days. It's 5 full days. We are very aware that we have students, doctoral students coming from different sides of the United States. So we try to do our best to accommodate not super early and not getting into sort of the evening late hours of people on the East Coast, because Texas is right there in the middle in Central Time. You can expect, should you be admitted, we're going to be sending out packages both before the Institute starts and after the Institute ends. Part of that, there's these little swag bags, they're pretty fun. The idea is we're trying to facilitate community, and this is our 2nd year doing this digitally, and we found people have an excellent experience, but it's still labor. It's still a long day, even if you're sitting at your table, even maybe more so if you're sitting at your table. I'm sure everyone's fairly comfortable with Zoom these days and Zoom meetings. But our goal really is to help facilitate a connection between peers and mentoring networks. So we ask that these 5 days are fairly labor intensive, but because you're putting out a lot in terms of emotion and intellect. So the way that the Institute is organized is around these 3 basic premises, right? You'll have working groups, you'll have theoretical seminars, and then you'll have professionalization seminars. And I'll go through a little bit about what those look like. Next slide, please. So one question we regularly get or have gotten in the last couple of years is, why didn't I get to do more writing while I was hanging out either at UT Austin or via Zoom with you at UT Austin? And the idea is clear. This isn't a writing retreat. Some people, particularly participants at this level, you all have things you're working on either for publication or clearly your dissertation. What we do offer is our working groups. So everyone who's admitted to the program will be assigned a working group with one of the core faculty members who are here, among a few other faculty coming from other universities or other departments. These breakout sessions aren't necessarily places where you're meant to sit and write, but they're places where you can bring questions about sort of the representative samples of your data that you have that maybe you want to talk through with a small group of people who have either a close working knowledge of your area or your method or some combination thereof. So the idea isn't necessarily that you're able to just dedicate an hour in the morning to just writing, but we're hoping that thinking about your writing, thinking about what you've done maybe the hour before or the evening before, will generate questions and ideas that you bring to the group to help foster both that idea of community, but to get answers and responses from professionals in your field, either peers or mentors. Really, the goal of working groups, some people feel that they can be a little intense, especially because it's one faculty to about 4 or 5 students, but they're really meant to be a supportive environment. We found that for many students, this was the best session of the day. If it was a long day, the idea of getting started, asking questions, feeling connected to people, but also sort of being on your own with making sure that you're bringing questions about your work and your writing process is clear, and it's key. Next slide, please. So what does the schedule look like? So on the slide, you have the basic outline of what a day in those 5 days will look like. The first thing you can expect is the working group session, which is the first roughly hour of the day. What you can expect next are a series of theoretical seminars. So these different seminars are designed to help students understand different ways of interpreting intersectional approaches to research based on what we'll look at next, which is the area specializations of the research faculty who are participating. So you'll start with this idea of you'll have a topic, and whether it's an interactive assignment, some kind of conversation, the ideas will be developed and you can ask questions and sort of think through your own research while you're listening, both to the faculty member who's presenting, but also to your large group of peers. So whereas the working group was a small 4 to 5 person group, the theoretical seminars encompass the entire class or the entire institute. So these seminars will be particular to, again, different areas of research and methodological approaches, but you'll have some that are very specific, so you can understand that if you're working closely with data, we're going to have sessions on specifically how to code your data, right? What does that look like? And that can be a very specific process, right? So you're looking at someone doing this work, but you're able to think about the minutia of your own project, right? That's one of the benefits of doing this. Or you have more specialized but broader approaches to intersectional work. So for instance, I teach a seminar on queer of color critique. So for some people that might be super relevant. For other folks, it might be just another way of thinking about where intersectional approaches fit into other more expanded lines of inquiry. It's not expected that everything you're participating in is going to exactly match your specific area of research, but the idea that you're seeing over and over again different ways of thinking about your research or research in your area intersectionally and in a diverse methodological form. So we do know that Zoom fatigue is super real. For anyone who's taking classes right now or teaching online right now, it's pretty heavy. So our goal is that before the lunch break and before sort of intermittent breaks between sessions, you will have the early part of the day will be populated by these theoretical seminars, but after lunch, we shift theme to working on professionalization. So that's about developing cover letters, thinking about CV styles, even having conversations about soft skills, understanding that there are certain things about the Institute that will allow you a chance to ask questions that you might not even feel comfortable asking your primary advisor at your home institution. We offer on one evening an interactive kind of happy hour, depending on how it works in terms of Zoom, called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Going into the Professoriate or being a postdoc in a postdoctoral position that you were afraid to ask. And so this becomes a really emotional time for people, but a very exciting moment to ask questions that you never really thought you could, but you can get an honest answer from us. So part of that, again, reinforcing this idea of we're here for your research. We're here to help you build a critical research profile from where you are, but at the same time, we want to build these networks of communities. Next slide, please. So our thematic areas. So this is where people can sort of look and see what could they hope, what kind of guidance might they hope to get, and is it smart for me to apply for the program based on the kind of work that I do and based on the kind of work that me and my fellow core faculty members do. Might these areas be helpful for you in one way or another? So the faculty specializations, you can see the 3 areas roughly mapped in front of you. These are the areas representing the training and practices of core faculty members, but we also have other faculty from across the campus who will be participating in the seminar, particularly in certain thematic areas, understanding that we have folks who are working in education, sociology, public health, women and gender studies, anthropology, folklore, cultural studies. So all of these areas are potentially represented in a mentor that you will have for your working groups. We have folks that work on quantitative and qualitative specializations, right? So if you're interested if you work with numbers, I'm not a numbers person, but if you work with numbers, there are folks who can speak that numbers language with you and help you work through those kinds of questions. We also have folks like myself who are qualitative in orientation, so ethnographic studies, media analysis, sort of the application of critical race in popular culture. That's a kind of the other end of that spectrum. But everyone, in terms of their thematic area, really looks at intersectionality, not just as a research premise or as an approach, but as a politics, right? So that's part of sort of the ethos of our thematic areas that we want people to connect with. Even if you're not super sure how you would connect to any one of our areas, if you're excited by what we're offering, you should apply. And we might be able to figure out how we can bring areas together in unique ways. So the one thing to note is that, yes, you will have working groups in the mornings with a particular core faculty member who will be guiding conversation and helping sort of facilitate your relationship building with your peers, also which you'll do on your own. But you will have a chance throughout the week to have one-on-one conversations with any of our core faculty members. So there'll be a formal process of signing up online as the week goes on or before the week begins. So if you happen to be a qualitative person who works on popular culture and race and you're in my working group, but you might have questions about how to apply some of the conversations you have in the field of public health, you can absolutely schedule a meeting with Dr. Para Medina. So just keep that in mind. We're trying to facilitate network building, peer support, but also a kind of mentoring that isn't dependent on your home institution. So hopefully that gives you a little picture of what you can expect. So now I'll pass it along to Dr. Para Cardona, who's going to talk about eligibility requirements.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gonzalez-Martin. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be here and to know that you're here as well. My name is Ruben Parra Cardona. I'm an associate professor in the Steve Hicks School of Social Work, and I am also the area director of research at the Latino Research Institute. Today, I'm going to talk with you about eligibility criteria. That means, what are we expecting to find in applicants? Eligibility is truly important. We have learned this over the course of the years for your benefit. We have seen that meeting the eligibility criteria is essential so you can feel fully satisfied and happy with the experience in this training. Eligibility is also important because although you may be excited about the focus of the training, it may be best for you to wait until you complete all the eligibility criteria, because it is important that all the applicants have met a common set of academic goals, and also that have been exposed to various specific experiences on research. Otherwise, it can lead to frustration because the workshops and assignments are very focused based on that expertise that we are expecting and exposure to academic experiences. So we have confirmed that the eligibility criteria is essential. Now, who's eligible to participate? First, doctoral students who have advanced to candidacy within the last 3 years. What does this mean? You have to have a successful defense of your dissertation proposal. Not a scheduled defense, not plans to have it, but you have to report a successful defense of your dissertation proposal. We have seen that this is a very important criterion because it will provide you with satisfaction with the institute and will also ensure that you will be highly productive during the time of the training. Which links us to eligibility number 2. You must have collected data on an intersectional qualitative research project. What does that mean? That you have to have a qualitative project in which you are addressing 2 or more areas of diversity, like gender, socioeconomic status, ethnicity, etc. You also have to be enrolled in an academic program at a US accredited institution. Scholars who are Mexican American, African American, Native American, Puerto Rican, as well as those who identify with a socially and economically economically disadvantaged group are encouraged to apply. Next, please. Now, before applying, what is it that you need to do? Well, you have to make sure that you have all your documents in PDF format, and you need to identify your files, making sure that each file name starts with your last name for easy identification. So basically, we need 4 documents. First, your curriculum vitae. Second, we need a letter of support. These needs to be written in official letterhead by your dissertation chair. And the chair needs to state that your data is ready for analysis and interpretation. As you can see, this letter of support is going to confirm the eligibility criteria that I was talking to you about, because this criteria about having data ready for analysis and interpretation is essential. You're also going to include a bio statement. In 150 words, you're going to tell us about highlights of your professional background and what's your motivation for being in this institute. That statement is really important because we want to make sure that there's a strong fit between what you're looking for and what we're looking for to ensure that the experience is highly productive and satisfying for you. And finally, we need a project description, 500 words, in which you will talk about your dissertation project. You will make a reference to intersectionality in your dissertation project, and the way you are going to address it must be included in your description of your dissertation. So that covers pretty much the eligibility criteria and the documents you need to prepare. Now I'm going to turn it to Dr. Parra Medina, who's going to talk to us about application deadlines.
Deb, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that. So application and key dates. Let's see. The application is due December 4th of this year. And we are hoping to make decisions and notify applicants of acceptance in early February. Now, the institute takes place from the 14th to the 18th of June. What does it cost? So the institute costs $600, and you will be, if you're accepted, you'll receive an email notification. In there, it will have a link. You'll be able to use that link to confirm your participation and pay your registration. We encourage you to seek out support, financial support from your institution early. Don't wait until you have the acceptance. Your academic department or your graduate school or your office of research, many of these offices within your university do offer professional development awards, training resources for graduate students. Start asking about those and see if you can line up some financial assistance. Then we have very limited financial support for those in need, and we will require verification that you have sought and not been awarded financial assistance from your own institution before we consider an application for financial assistance from our institute. If you do find that you will require some assistance, you can submit a request to our email at lri@austin.utexas.edu. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Morales Campos, and we're going to open it up for questions, and hopefully we'll have some answers for you.
So if you can please, if you have any burning questions, if you can type them in to the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. And I know we had some already, so let me get to those. Let me just open my screen up. So Dr. Para Medina, I think this question you're the most qualified to answer. So Angela Gutierrez, who's in our session today, said, I recently graduated with a PhD in public health. I am currently a postdoctoral fellow at USC and will be a postdoc for the 2021 to 2022 academic year. Which would you recommend given my current career stage, the faculty or graduate student program?
The early career faculty. It's labeled early career faculty, but it's really for any postdoctoral applicant. So if you're a postdoc, if you're an assistant professor or research assistant professor, I encourage you to apply for the one for early career faculty. You can find a link again from our website, and it'll take you to the Consortium for Race, Gender, and Ethnicity at the University of Maryland College Park. Now, we cover some very similar content in terms of like the theory and the methods, but of course the professional concerns of postdoctoral researchers and early career scholars are going to be different from those of advanced doctoral students. And so the program is really tailored for people who are in a different stage of their training and careers. So I encourage you to look there for more information.
Thank you, Dr. Para Medina. Dr. Para Cardona, I think this next question is best answered by you. It's from anonymous attendee. In order to apply, do you have to defend your proposal by the time of the application submission or by the time the institute occurs?
Thank you for the question. Yes, by the application submission, that is important, as we have had cases in which folks have said that they were going to submit by certain dates, and then there came important delays. And it's really going to lead to frustration if you don't have all your dissertation ready to go for the institute, because it's a really fast-paced institute, and you just need to be very focused on that and advance in that process. So by the submission date.
Thank you, Dr. Para Cardona. So we have another question. Can I attend the institute if I have qualitative data, but it's not my dissertation data?
I guess I can take that one. So it's most beneficial to have qualitative data from your dissertation because then you can apply what you're learning, what you're exploring during the institute to advance your dissertation research. But if there is another type of qualitative data that you have access to, you can use that. So you can use qualitative data from another project, but it's highly, highly, highly recommended that it's qualitative data from your dissertation. And it doesn't have to be a lot, you know, a few interviews, a focus group or some materials that you've already gathered, enough so that you can really think critically about how you're approaching your qualitative research methodology and can begin thinking about how you're going to interpret the data that you have.
Thank you, Dr. Medina. We have one more question. Is the Institute looking for candidates who are specifically asking research questions about intersectionality?
So I'll take this one. Yes, the short answer is yes. This isn't an institute where you're kind of coming as a blank slate to get ideas to get content ideas. You should be thinking through these intersectional frameworks on your own. We're here to help sort of guide and refine your approaches. But you should definitely already have this intersectional idea, framework, approach in mind. It should already be part of your project.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez Martin. We have a question on the question Dr. Para Cardona answered a little while ago in the chat. So I'm going to ask that to him right now. The anonymous person asked, to jump on the previous question, what if your chair approves your dissertation plan, but you are not defending your proposal until after the application is due? Also, I already have the intersectional qualitative data already collected. And
yeah,
we Q&A in case you need to read it.
Yeah, we had that situation, and it may be that it's best for you to wait, because there's so many ways, so many scenarios in which folks have presented to us that they haven't defended, and there's so many complications once they consider that they would have defended. So it may be that you need to wait. And remember, it's not only this institute, but we also have the Early Career Institute. So in any case you end up missing this institute, there's the option of the Early Career Institute as well. So we have just learned that it's much better when we have that secure confirmation that the proposal has been defended.
Thank you, Dr. Para Cardona. Next question. Do I need to be a PhD candidate before I apply? I think that was already answered though. Next question. Are there any scholarships or financial assistance for the program?
Yeah, so let me go back and reinforce the previous question about advancing to candidacy. Now, we're an interdisciplinary program, right? So sometimes advancing to candidacy might mean different things in different fields, right? You might have to completed or achieved certain tasks, completed certain milestones in your program to be advanced to candidacy. So you should have done that, advanced to candidacy, but we do require the proposal defense. In many doctoral programs, the proposal defense is the advancement to candidacy. But if for some reason in yours it is not, you need to have been advanced to candidacy and defended the proposal. So I just want to clarify that. And then again, in terms of financial assistance, we're letting you know right now, kind of giving you a heads up, it is $600. That's why we encourage you to start thinking early, talk to your dissertation advisor, your department chair, graduate school, Office of Research, see if you can apply early, know when the deadlines are so that you can be prepared to apply for those resources early. And then again, I said we do have some limited financial assistance based on need, and we do ask that applicants or potential trainees do seek support from their campus, their school, before approaching the Latino Research Institute for financial assistance.
Thank you, Dr. Para Medina. We don't have any questions currently in the Q&A. If anybody has any questions, you can type them in now. If not, I just a reminder that in the chat during the session, important links have been posted. The link to the IQRMI-ADS website, and also the link to the application. Please copy and paste those somewhere if you're interested in applying or getting more information on either the early career faculty or the advanced doctoral students institutes. They're both, information is listed on our website for both.
There's 2 more questions.
Oh, thank you. I didn't see that. Okay, first question. If you may be graduating summer 2021, would you suggest this institute or the other?
Well, in that case, you might be too far along in your program to benefit substantially, right? Because our idea is that you are in the data analysis and interpretation and writing phase. So my assumption is if you're graduating in the summer, you've pretty much, by the time you get here, you'll have already analyzed and written up most of your dissertation. So, and also, you know, we do focus on the professionalization piece, which is supposed to help with the transition from being a student to being a professional, postdoctoral professional, whatever that might be. And if you're already graduating, maybe by then you've already got you already know what your next phase is. And if that's the case, then maybe the early career faculty institute is better because that focuses on the postdoctoral. It's up to you. Really, I encourage you to apply. As Dr. Parra Cardona has said, you know, best intentions with timelines, things get in the way. And sometimes we don't progress as quickly as we would like. So you just keep that in mind when you apply.
Thank you, Dr. Parra Medina. The next question is from William. Thank you for all the information. You mentioned the letter of support should be written by the student's chair. If another member of the committee could speak better on the mission of the institute, would it be acceptable for the letter to come from them?
Let me do an initial response, but I'll let Dr. Parra Medina edit my response as we had not received something like that before. The importance of the dissertation chair is that it's the authority of the dissertation committee, right? So the person may not be particularly an expert on that content area, but it represents the person responsible for your training and completion of degree. So it's important, it's very important to have that letter by the dissertation chair. I don't know, but Dr. Parra Medina, if we would accept like a complimentary letter by a faculty member that can highlight the relevance of the institute, but in terms of the importance of the letter by the chair, it's very important that the chair submits that letter.
You are correct. And the main purpose of the letter is to confirm what the student is reporting to us, that they're advanced to candidacy, that they're in the correct stage of their doctoral training, that this is the good timing for them to be participating in an institute such as this. And so I would recommend, I mean, you have a committee, hopefully they work together. Maybe they want to write it collaboratively, both of them sign, or I think you can upload an additional letter or material into the system, which can't hurt. But the main objective is that the chair can attest to the fact that you're at the right stage to take advantage of what we have to offer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Parra Medina and Dr. Parra Cardona for your answers.
Sure.
Okay, I have no more questions in the Q&A. So we'd like to thank everybody for attending our information session for the Institute. The Zoom webinar will be posted on the Institute's website for folks to review. And also, if you would like to share with other colleagues who might not have been able to attend today, please feel free to share the link so they can also have the information. If you have any further questions, please check our FAQ page. And I believe the link was posted in the chat. So you can copy that down, copy and paste. So you have that for your information. If you have a question that comes up after we end our session today, please feel free to email us. Our email address is on the slide and also in the chat. It is lri@austin.utexas.edu. We'll be happy to answer any further questions you have after this session ends. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Bye.